Hello, everybody, and welcome to our brand new location. We are now in Bethpage, Long Island, New York, in our permanent studio. There'll be no more changes, although there will be books on the shelf back here. So welcome to Bye Narcissist. I think this is our 6th episode already. Wow, time flies. Let me introduce everyone, and we'll figure out where we're going to go from there. So I am Fred Holtz. I'm a licensed psychologist. I've been specializing in people who are in and trying to leave narcissistic relationships. That is my specialty, and also that's my experience in my personal life. I am with my wonderful co-host.
I'm Bryman. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I too have experienced a narcissistic relationship in my life, and I'm here to help people try to get out of it and realize their potential and get help.
Excellent. So we are on every Friday, but we're going to switch to Thursdays. So in the future, starting May 20th, we're going to be Thursday at 5:30, not Friday. But for the next 2 Fridays, we're going to be right here with a purple background with more books next time. Anyway, hello, Joy Collins.
Hi, Joy Collins.
Always the first one to check in and say hello. Thank you. Why don't we start off by mentioning the groups we run? So I run a group on Mondays. It's called Sequels. It is specifically for people in or leaving narcissistic relationships. To reach me, you can call 516-888-3000. That's 516-888-3000. And in addition,
I have a group that I run called The Warriors on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. And you can reach me at 516-404-3753 or on Psychology Today or at my website.
And you can reach either one of us at byebyNarcissist.com or byebyNarcissist on Twitter or byebyNarcissist on Facebook or byebyNarcissist today, finally, on YouTube. That's right?
We're everywhere.
And
Instagram.
And Instagram. We're also writing a book, and the book is called, you guessed it, Bye Narcissist. It's going to be out in about, I would say, 5 months. I'm optimistic on that one.
Maybe before.
Please do ask questions. We like questions. This show is question driven. So please ask as many questions as you could possibly think of. Hi, Marlene Simpson. Hello. How are you? I don't know if you've been with us before, but if you haven't, tell us where you're from and introduce yourself. But meanwhile, and where you heard about us. So meanwhile, hello, Marlene. Christopher Waller, nice background. Thank you. It's brand new.
Oh, thank you.
It's real. Watch.
These are comfy.
Yeah, comfy chairs. We're moving
comfy chairs.
Moving on up in the world. Comfy chairs and beautiful purple background. So we're in a permanent studio, which was being built. Anyway, welcome, Christopher. Welcome, Marlene. Please say where you're from, and if you have any questions. Today, we're going to try to stick to a topic.
We have to put a boundary on the topic.
Yes. Thank you for the compliment. So the topic was a suggestion actually of Joy Collins right here on your screen, and that is boundaries. Such an important issue when you're dealing with a narcissist. It's important anyway, but it's very, very important with a narcissist. So why don't we define boundaries? Please ask questions about boundaries. Or anything else having to do with narcissism.
Yeah, and also give us suggestions, things that you want to hear.
This was a suggestion from Joy Collins. So
anything you want to hear.
We will do a whole show just on your topic, okay? So please feel free to ask. Here we go. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and I've seen your videos on Facebook and have been in a toxic relationship with a narcissist. Wow, did you come to the right place? Yeah. We've all been in toxic relationships with narcissists. I'm sorry to hear that. If you want to be more specific or ask a question, I've been to Dayton, Ohio. It's the only town in Ohio I've been to. Anyway, I appreciate you coming in and watching us on Facebook. Please continue to do so, like us, all that stuff. If you have a question, Marlene, please ask. Why don't we define what we mean by boundary? Oh, hi, Mel Carla. Now, I think Mel has been with us before, if I'm remembering correctly. So she's coming from Facebook. Mel Carla, maybe remind us what town you're coming from or where you are. And welcome. So we're going to talk about boundaries. So what is a boundary? Basic definition, it's usually a physical, or it's a place you don't cross.
Right.
So narcissists absolutely blur their boundaries on their side. They will go anywhere. They will embarrass you in public. They have no discretion. They have no limit to what they, Northport, that's near us. Not far.
They have no limit.
There's no limit to the boundless lack of boundaries. But seriously, they'll invade your personal space. They'll find some weakness that you have and like exploit it.
They'll test you first, though. They try to test you to get past your boundaries.
That's something. Joy Collins was talking about that earlier today. That there's the concept of like they'll see what they can get away with. Then they'll try a little more. Then they'll like and you find out over time, sometimes a long period of time, you find like, wow, they're really in my personal space. They're talking to my friends. They're on my Facebook. They're all over the place. So they have no boundaries. So I guess we'll talk about that they have no boundaries, and then we'll talk about ways to keep your own boundaries.
Well, they have boundaries with other people, right? That in the world. That's why people generally like them.
They present.
But when it's an intimate partner, that they don't really have much boundaries, or children too.
They present very, very well. Can I just a technical thing? Can you lower whatever the feedback is that I hear a little? I find that narcissistic people who. I find that narcissists. It's I find that narcissistic people.
Yes, they definitely. Narcissists cross boundaries a lot. Yes, thanks, Joy.
Got it. Really that they let people cross the. The testing phase is very significant. Yeah. Because as you know, in the beginning. Yeah. In the beginning of a narcissistic relationship, there's love bombing and everything is cool and they're amazing. And oh my God, I can't believe how nice they are. Can you describe the grooming? Because it's something we didn't really talk about. I'm going to read your question in 1 second. But can you describe the grooming? Yes. We don't talk about that too much.
When a narcissist targets someone, they'll put you in different situations if you're the target, and they groom you. They observe you, and they reinforce what you do, and it's almost like they become you. They mirror you,
and they get you used to it, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's very creepy. You know something is not right, but you just you go along with it because it feels so good.
And I think they lower your expectations, like to the point where eventually you're saying like, yeah, well, this is good enough. It's okay if they don't do this. It's okay if they don't show their affection. It's okay if they don't do that. It's okay if they yell at me once in a while. So it's okay if they tell me to stay home once in a while and tell me what to do. Like they slowly invade, they ruin your boundaries. They destroy
I love when you said expectations. You're right. They lower your expectations. So you don't, I think a lot of people in narcissistic relationships don't really understand boundaries or have boundaries. And definitely don't use boundaries, even if they do have them, right? So, I think that you're right with the expectations. That makes a lot of sense.
A lot of times, I'm talking from personal experience. First of all, let's back up for 2 seconds. You should expect in a relationship shows of affection. You should expect them to listen to you and respect your day and care about what happens to you, support you when you're down. They should be walking by your side and they should have your back in general. And you should expect all that stuff. That's normal, very normal. But in my experience, I kept having lower and lower expectations, and I kept saying to myself, I can deal with this. It's okay that I don't have.
Because it's so subtle, and it's so insidious. It just happens very slowly.
It does.
What do they call it? Death by 1,000 stabs.
A thousand small cuts, something like that.
Yeah. So that's.
So I know that experience is very personal. Let me read this let me start reading the questions. We do love questions. Thank you so much. Please ask and ask. Okay, Marlene, thanks for sharing, by the way, and feeling comfortable enough to share with us. As soon as I called him out about being a narcissist, he went crazy. Of course, you try to uncover them. He went crazy on me, turning against me with rage, name calling, telling people I'm the top. Of course, you're the toxic. Mine did the same thing. That's why I'm getting all excited. Threatening to call the IRS on me, calls the police to try to use them against me with lies about me even to the point of him hurting himself and putting me in jail by lying and saying I abused him. Marlene, I wish I could say that that's like shocking to me, but that's what they do. I'm sorry to hear that it must have been like people who have been in situations like that, they suffer from PTSD. And this is a good example. That's traumatic. Oh my God, that's traumatic. He hurts himself and blames you. They'll go to any lengths. It sounds like you've got like more than just a narcissist. They're probably like a sociopath and a borderline personality disorder.
Yeah, a mix of cluster B disaster.
Yes, we've talked about that here. Like, so the way we diagnose narcissistic personality disorder, it's part of what's called cluster B. And boy, is it a cluster! If you know what I'm saying, get it. It's part of the DSM-5, which is the book that we use to diagnose people. It's like the dictionary of diagnoses. And it's bad. The personality disorders are not super treatable. And
sometimes it runs on the axis. There's these axes, and sometimes there's another axis of like paranoid personality. And so you have sometimes a mix with the two axes. Did you ever see that?
Of course. Yeah, I don't think
that's a mess.
They changed the axes concept, but that's whatever. Okay. Can boundaries be established with a narcissist after they were broken? You can always establish boundaries in yourself. Will they respect them after they're broken? No, they don't respect anything. Forget about them. Let's talk about you. You have to set boundaries. He claims he has PTSD from me and is seeking therapy. Good for him. They don't
Poor therapist.
I feel sorry for the therapist. We are lighthearted, but Marlene, nobody's situation is light or funny. You almost have to laugh because it's so sad. I was going to say, so how do you set boundaries? There's so many techniques to set boundaries. First of all, what's the famous one? Respond, don't react. Don't get all excited. Don't get all upset. Don't fight them. You can't win because they're professional narcissists and you're not. So respond, say, I don't think that's true, or I hear what you're saying, or okay, I got it. I heard you. Like, just respond without reacting. That's something I know Joy Collins is working on, disengage. It's hard. There's a lot of specific techniques. There's something called fogging, which you can say, I heard what you said. You can just repeat yourself, the broken record technique. I heard what you said. I get it. I heard what you said. I'm listening, like without agreeing to do anything. So boundaries we're going to make a dual list. I'm going to think of one. Okay. You have the right to your personal space. You can go into your bedroom and watch TV. You can go listen to the radio in another room. You can go do something in the backyard. They don't have to be with you 24/7. Right. It's important when you're in the middle of a narcissistic relationship, it's important to start setting the boundaries.
It's very hard though. So this is my take on it. So I think a lot of people are really traumatized, and they call it trauma bond. Yes. And there's a lot of cognitive dissonance, and you're in a fog, and you don't know. It's the worst feeling. You don't know if you're coming or going. You don't even know what to do. And you're still so upset about the relationship. You want to go back. You don't know you don't want to go back. You're angry. You're very confused. So when you're in that place, setting boundaries is very difficult because you can't even think. So what I would do is set rules for yourself. But even before that, if you can't set a rule for yourself, like if somebody spoke to me like that, that's unacceptable. Or if somebody leaves the house overnight and, we're in a relationship and we can't solve an issue, that's unacceptable. But if you can't do that and you are in such a bad place right now, what I would do is try, and I know this sounds crazy, try to write down 3 things that you like and 3 things that you don't like. Just 3 things that you like. What do you like?
Sometimes me.
What do you like? Yeah.
I like to express myself creatively. Mm-hmm. I talk a lot. I like to talk to people. Yeah. My little narcissist used to hate it when I would talk to other people.
So you like being social?
I love being social in particular ways, but yeah. So I like being social. I like expressing myself creatively. I like to openly discuss things like movies and books and shared experiences. That's just off the top of my head.
Okay. So those are 3 things you like. What are 3 things you don't like about you, about Fred?
Oh, about me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I can be obsessive.
You see, you knew right away. Okay.
I didn't have to think. I didn't have to think of the negative.
So you could be obsessive?
This is going to sound terrible, hideous, but sometimes I'm too generous without discretion. I like being generous. I'm always going to be generous, but I'm too generous without discretion. The third thing I don't like about myself, my hair. Am I allowed to say that? No.
Okay. Those are 3 things. But you are a grounded person who understands yourself and who you are in this world. When you're in a place of being in a trauma bond or being so upset and depressed and anxious, and you don't even know what happened, and you lost your career, and you lost your finances are a mess, and you don't know what happened with your relationship. The person you loved and counted on is doing quite the opposite, and you're trying to get back to this love bombing phase, so you don't feel grounded and you don't know yourself. So that's a good exercise, is to say, what are 3 things you like about yourself? What are 3 things you don't like about yourself? Then with that, try to set rules for yourself. Just 3 rules. If you could think of that now, whoever's watching, just set 3 rules for yourself. And over time, the rules start becoming boundaries.
I love it.
People are breaking the rules, right?
There's a few things I love about what you said. That you can't always control the narcissist, and they're very manipulative, and they're up in your face, and they're a strong presence constantly. But you can always work on yourself. You can always start with even a small. Okay, these are 3 things I prefer. I deserve not to be yelled at. I deserve to be treated better. Even if they're not treating you better right now, you're establishing rules. I love it.
Rules for yourself and how you're going to treat other people. You should always be the best you. You should always be the best Fred to everybody.
I am the best Fred.
You are. And that's when you said react, don't respond, because the best Fred is always
it's all about me today.
The best Fred responds. He doesn't react to others, right?
See, that's good. Yeah. Those are the rules you should set for yourself. I'm going to respond, not react.
Yeah.
You can only control yourself with these people. I was going to mention something related to exactly what you said. A famous psychologist named Viktor Frankl. Oh. He wrote about exactly this, that you can always control your beliefs, your feelings, where you're coming from, your belief system, your boundaries, your rules. And do you know where he wrote that? He wrote it in a concentration camp in 1943. So if he could come up with something that he could control and some perspective he could have in the worst possible nightmare, then it's an inspiration. We can do that too.
I read that book when I was going through my healing, and along with other books. But that was one of the books I've read. I highly recommend that book. He's a psychiatrist.
Yeah, he's a psychiatrist. Yeah. We all read it in graduate school, and
it was great.
It gives you hope. Okay, well, Amy, welcome, Amy. We know Amy.
Going back. Are you backing up?
Well, I didn't read it yet. Boundaries have been so hard to set with a narcissistic parent, but they're so important. So, Amy, I'm going to share with you, if it's okay with Joy Collins. Joy Collins is talking about mostly her mom, not a romantic relationship, but rather her mom, who's the narcissist. Christopher says they're jealous. You have anything anything outside the house other than your job, and sometimes the job as well. In my case, Christopher, she was insanely jealous of my job, and my job is like a psychologist in a group practice. Totally jealous. You know why? Because I loved it. I loved what I do. And I got energy I was dedicated to what I do, and she couldn't handle that. Marlene says exactly. We should act like we're walking on eggshells. Well, that's a whole title.
See, I have a rule for myself. I don't go around people that I have to walk on eggshells with.
True.
That's my rule.
Pam. Oh, hi, Pam. How you doing? Pam is a good friend of the
Man's
practice.
search for meaning.
Your mama's search for your mama's search for meaning. No, it's
Yes.
You're right. Man's search for meaning. What a title. Oh, she corrected it. Okay, sorry. I'll take anything. I'll use anything for humor. I recommend the book as well. Yes. Pam, I believe, not just believe, I know, you're a licensed psychologist also with a lot of experience. So thank you for joining us. We shouldn't walk on eggshells.
Yeah.
There's a whole title of a book called Stop Walking on Eggshells. And I don't know if it's about narcissism.
It's about borderline.
It's on borderline personality. But as we always say here, there's a lot of overlap between borderline personality and narcissistic. We shouldn't. I got it, Marlene. Thank you very much. If you have any other questions, I'm trying to think of. So actually, for me, the process of leaving my little narcissist, I call them that on purpose. It's because they're not so big; they're tiny little people inside. I think the process began with establishing boundaries. I'm not going to accept this anymore. I'm not going to accept this anymore. I'm not going to come home and be miserable. I'm going to seek my own therapy. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to, like everyone who I've ever met who's been with a narcissist, I'm going to type in narcissist on Google and see what comes up. And when the narcissist is an alcoholic, it's 100 times worse. Yes, because you got inconsistency on top of the narcissistic personality disorder. Yeah, Marlene, I feel bad. I wonder what stage you're at in terms of leaving, or if you are leaving, or if you're still in it, or whatever.
Yeah, you're right, Marlene. The alcohol is a big thing.
100 times.
I had somebody like that.
See, with a narcissist, anything makes it 100,000 times worse. Like if they're also a little sadistic, if they also have ADHD, if they also have something else, it makes it worse. Because they never admit their problems and they never take responsibility.
They're in so much pain. That's why the alcohol.
I think some other boundary statements, just to go back to that a second, is like, I have the right to talk to a good friend on my own time.
Don't even go there, Marlene. You can't get him to see himself.
Marlene, I'm sorry to say that, but I agree 100.
No.
I would say Dr. Bryman and myself agree on 90% of stuff, and that's definitely something we agree on. I'm still at the stage where I'm trying to get him. No, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I'm Mr. Positive. You could tell. I'm Mr. Optimistic, but it's not going to happen. They're not going to see themselves. Wasn't it you who just said that they went to therapy and manipulated the therapist? Oh, by the way, what a surprise, right? They manipulated the therapist. They're so good, Marlene and Joy, Think to you in a second. They're so good at what they do, they can manipulate a therapist who hasn't been there. Like, I think you and I would be pretty resilient in terms of getting manipulated by a narcissistic client.
I see this a lot. And,
I wouldn't even I don't treat narcissism at all. I treat the person who's suffered. Let me see.
I'm hypervigilant to it when I treat people. I really am. To see.
Yeah, I always have to keep myself in check a little. Like, not everyone's a narcissist. There are just bad relationships that are not narcissistic. But when you see what the people are commenting, you know it's a narcissist at work. Is there a basic list of boundaries that we can set to get started? Oh, like a top 10 list. Yes, we're going to in 1 minute. Let me just read the other comments. I know, yes, the question on setting boundaries to get started is excellent. Yes, it is, Joy Collins. You're to blame, not them. Well, from their perspective. Therapists need some schooling. Thank you, Marlene. Oh, my God. Yes. Therapists, police officers, attorneys, for God's sake, attorneys, they need to learn about narcissism desperately, because they don't see it. And when 9 times out of 10, when someone says, I'm getting manipulated by a narcissist, they'll say, well, did he hit you? Or did she hit you? Marlene, you're right. You're on point. You're on fleek, they used to say. Or does that refer to eyebrows? I forgot. Anyway, let's go back to the best question of the evening award goes to Joy Collins. Can we make a top 10 list? Well, number
10.
number 10. It has to be somewhere on the top 10 list. Has to be self-care, setting a boundary for self-care. You have the right, even in a narcissistic relationship, to take care of yourself, to start some yoga, to improve your eating habits, to get some exercise, regardless of whether your little narcissist comes with you or cares.
Even the basics. Get a haircut. Go to the dentist. Go to the doctor's appointments you've been putting off.
Takes me a minute to cut my hair. Yes.
Not you, Fred.
You know, that's a good point. I mean, obviously, that's a really good point. Go to the doctor.
Yeah,
go to
put off doctor
get a
appointments.
checkup. Go to the dentist. Get your teeth fixed. You know, get your eyebrows done. Like, take care of yourself. Whatever that means to you, of course. You know, if you're not into physical things, take care of yourself. You have read a book. Expand your horizon. Read a book about narcissism. Read a book about self-care, self-esteem. That's got to be number one boundary. I have the right to take care of myself. Oh, look at Christopher.
Anyone that could respond that really let their self-care go.
I feel like a television preacher.
If you let your self-care go, just type it in.
That was 10 things in one finger.
It was.
Okay, another. Well, I got to say one thing right here. You want 10? Okay, so number 2 has to be like not accepting any kind of physical abuse or threatening. So I'm going to stick in there safety first. That's a boundary. The right to have social and oh, good, Pam, thank you. So the right to be safe. Don't hesitate to call the police, tell someone, call the authorities, whatever it takes. If you're under physical threat, if they're locking you in a room, which happens, I've heard it many times.
They're very savvy, though. Sometimes they blame you. So
yes.
You have to be very careful.
We have stories in my group my Monday group that they called the cops on the person, like after pushing them or something.
Or 2 people got arrested.
Cops, yeah. I respect police officers and the military and everything. I'm from a military family, but they're not educated on this. So safety is a boundary. You want a top 10, we're doing safety first. We're doing top 10. Mm-hmm. The right to have social and emotional support. Pam, yes. The right to seek help on your own, not therapy with the narc, your own therapy or your own group or your own friends. Find a friend it's best to find a friend who understands, has been there. But even if you can't, a friend who you care about, a friend who's not in the network of the narcissist and yourself.
That's so hard. Sometimes
it is
hard because they really isolate you. So you think your friends are the flying monkeys.
Yeah. And to define the term, the flying monkeys is like the arsenal of people and things that they use to make you look bad and to put you down. They always blame you for everything. They lie to all people of authority. They do. That's why I'm a big advocate of doing stuff separate. So we're only up to 3.
It's hard when you're trauma bonded, though.
Yeah.
How can people do things separately or feel like they're a separate entity from the narcissist?
And I always like to define terms for anyone who's new or doesn't or watches later and is brand new. So a trauma bond is in the old days, didn't they call it like anxious attachment? Like a kid will attach very heavily to an abusive parent because they're still looking for the good stuff. They still want the caring and the
they're starving.
Yeah, they're starving for it. So a trauma bond is like you're bonded to them even though they're abusive. And you see it in what people say, like, I can't leave. I find it difficult to leave or talk to them. So we're only up to 3.
Or they're just, I remember being hypervigilant.
Yeah.
Waiting for every move of theirs and it was exhausting. So much energy was given to them that I didn't have enough for myself.
Absolutely.
How are they going to respond? What are they going to say?
They're energy vampires. Mm-hmm. I think, like, if you saw 5 seconds of this broadcast, you see I'm high energy. Okay, I was in such a dull place, such a miserable place with my little narcissist. I felt like I was tapped out. Like all the energy got sucked into her and her drama and stuff.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I always felt like they were going to come home and then it was going to be a whole story about something bad that happened that day.
Right.
So talk about walking on eggshells.
Here's a boundary. Like, so you know what? One of the first things I noticed is I didn't want to go home from work. I would stay at work. I didn't want to go home. Now I love to go home. I can't wait to go home. But anyway, so you have the right to your own time management because a narcissist will try to manage your time and tell you and like plan out your day and stuff like that. So you have the right to, like, it's sort of a list of boundaries. We're still on. So we're only up to 4. We got to get moving. The right to set your own time boundaries, the right not to agree with your narcissist. You can say, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, I'm listening to you. You can even reflect exactly what they said, but you don't have to agree with them. You don't have to agree to do anything, and you don't have to agree with them.
What the problem is, they could punish.
I know.
It's better to get away.
Yes. Let me just put this.
Like the most important.
Let me put this out in the universe, as someone at work always says. I'm going to throw out in the universe. The best choice is to leave and have zero contact, but not everyone can. I know Joy's in a situation where like it's her mom, and like she can't just she can disengage, but she can't just not see her mom. So,
but what about, okay, so you set boundaries, but what about if somebody's really passive aggressive and punishes? Is it better to set boundaries, or is it better just to agree with someone and just
for safety, or to like if you don't want the conflict? I used to do this all the time. If you don't want the conflict and you just can't hear it anymore, like I'm gonna say sometimes it's better. Yeah, you're right about that. And
sky
like
is green. Yeah.
But boundaries. Let me go to number 6. And there's no set 10, honestly. It's just 10 off the top of my head. And Robin said. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, you can internally know. You can say to yourself, I would never agree to that. I would never agree that we should do this. I would never agree that I'm bad or a terrible person or causing the problem. So internally, never agree. Make sure there's a difference between what you're doing to placate or distance the narcissist and what you're doing in your own head. So let's read some of these things. They always blame you. Go ahead.
It becomes crazy because the things that they say over time are just more and more hating of other people.
Yes.
And so you're agreeing, and you're like, you can't even believe.
They will claim suicide as well. They'll do any kind of antics to get you back. They always blame you for everything. They lie to all people of authority. You get used to being abused and keep trying to please them. Yes, Marlene, that's their trick. But I hope, Marlene, that you reach a point where you're squeezed so dry that you know you've got to leave. I don't know your situation. I respect your situation, but I would think about planning. We talked about this a couple of episodes ago. Planning to leave, even if you're not leaving right now. Put money aside. Work on self-care. Work on your self-esteem. Get some friendships and some connections in the community of people who understand or care or will help.
It's better to be in a place alone and not have much than to be with somebody that's abusive.
I also, at one point, I had to say, okay, I got to make a plan. I have to make a concrete plan. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to find a new place to live. I moved out of the house where I had the lease. I just moved by. It was so important to get away from my little narcissist that I gave up a nice house. I didn't own the house. It was leased, but it doesn't matter. I gave up my space. I called a mover and got the hell out of there, even though it was my lease. So sometimes it's more important to get the hell out than counting the exact amount of who's what and the money.
Yeah, I did.
Don't lose money. Don't give up your rights. But
yeah, I was just out.
So there's 7. If you have any other questions, please ask. We're still on number 6. I will get to 10. Do you have any? What are some more basic boundaries that you should set like right away?
Self-care. What else?
Yeah, self-care is very, very important. I'm going to add. I know I said it already, but it's like the opposite of a boundary. Reach out to people. Reach out, even if it's the internet, even if it's a group like this, even if it's
I highly recommend a group because friends don't really understand this.
That's a tough thing.
A group is a great idea.
He's moved out, but I keep going back. No, Hoovers me. So you know the terms. So you've done your research. You're set. You're ready to. You
need a group, Marlene.
Yeah. He's moved out, but I keep going back. Hoovers me with the I'm sorry. And then after a few good days, he loses his mind. Exactly. Yeah. So Marlene, when I served her with divorce papers, she also said, I'm going to give you the kind of family situation you want. I'm going to get better. You're going to be the happiest person. But it was like the 5th time around already. They don't get better.
No.
They revert back very quickly within days.
I had a great Hoover once. It was like the 20th Hoover, and
right.
They wanted to remarry me on the coast of Italy.
Oh, there you go.
It was ridiculous.
Marlene, you're at the beginning, like you've done your home. I see. So I like to define terms. Hoovering, like the vacuum cleaner, friend. They're trying to suck you back in. They're trying to pull you back into their little maniacal world. Yes, leave before it costs you your life because it can do that.
Marlene, why are you going back and forth?
Yeah.
You need to love yourself more.
That's why the self-care is so important. I'm going to say, wait, leave before it costs you your, yes. There's someone in my group who describes themselves as, they said they would have been dead inside, dead, if they waited any longer. They were in a 27-year marriage.
I see people trying to either hurt themselves or get sick.
Yes.
If you stay too long.
I was sickly. I haven't had a cold or anything wrong with me in like years since I left my little narcissist, because it breaks my heart to see that he's still, and I can't explain it to him, for him to get help. Marlene, you're stuck.
Spinning.
He's
Marlene,
sick.
You're spinning.
Yeah. Who cares about him? I mean, look. So let me explain one thing, Marlene. There's this misconception that people who get together with narcissists are somehow like terribly defective, or they're too nurturant or too empathetic. It's such a nice thing that you care, because you're a human being. Of course you care about them. You loved them, right? You married them, or you stuck with them. So of course you care, because you're a good person and you care and you're empathetic and you're giving and you're generous and you're probably nurturant. And that's all great. That's wonderful. Give all that stuff to a person who deserves it, or someone who can
Give it to yourself.
Yes,
first.
give it to yourself first. He's sick. I mean, sick. Oh, 6 years marriage? That's a lot.
Were you married, Marlene?
So Marlene, I was married for 5 years, just 1 year short of you. It's very hard to get out, but I'm so happy that I did.
Marlene, there's other fish in the sea.
Yes.
You're not married and you're doing this. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I sometimes I talk to private clients and I try to find out what make a living together. It doesn't really matter. You're stuck. I try to find out what makes them stay. Kristen, how you doing? He will never get help. He is so happy.
You're right, Kristen.
You're right, Kristen. So as I've explained before, Marlene, in previous episodes, they need this. It is Freud called this a perversion. I'll never forget that expression. Like the narcissistic perversion. They need this to survive. And I'm going to say it again, they get off on it. It's not, they do, he's so happy. Yeah. He will never get help. He's so happy.
Well, Marlene, yeah, he discards her and then he hoovers her back.
What keeps me trying to get him to see his wrong way?
Because you're not looking at yourself, Marlene. Stop looking at him. And you have intimacy issues. So look at yourself. Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. She's right. You definitely have to improve your own self-esteem. So besides self-care is one thing. Self-care is like taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially. But you need to work on self-esteem. You're worth it. You're worth it to be in a relationship where you don't have to fix somebody. You don't have to think about them getting better. Like
Marlene, I know I'm tough and I really do tell it like it is, but the fact that you're here today asking all these questions, it speaks volumes about who you are as a person. And I think you should take care of you because you're a great person. Yes,
Marlene, you got the language. You've obviously looked it up online or joined some groups or read a book. And
he doesn't have insight.
Yeah. I could move on to a new relationship, but I want him. Can you lower that? Thank you. I get it. That's good. But it goes back to still self-esteem. And I don't know how to impart this, but there are so much better people out there.
I want ice cream, but it's not good for me all the time.
Right?
Like Marlene.
I become my own self-taught therapist about. Of course, we all have. Yeah. I am a therapist, and then I became a self-taught therapist. They believe that they're never wrong, Marlene. Absolutely, Christopher, for sure. So, Marlene, a lot of people get stuck in exactly that position. There's something that keeps you there, but that something is not real. You're not. It is. That was the best, simplest statement. It is crazy making. But here's the problem. It will literally make you crazy if you don't get out. You deserve more. That's why. So please, Marlene, we're only up to 7, but I'm gonna throw a whole bunch together. You ready? You have a right to your own self-esteem. You have a right to have someone who you don't have to fix, right? like everyone has, look, no relationship is perfect, and people grow in a relationship. Huge difference between growing in a relationship and like having to be fixed. They do need to be fixed, but you'll never fix them, and they won't fix themselves. Marlene, do you have children together? Good question, Kristen. Thanks for asking. I needed to hear this. See, Marlene, one thing I always say. So I ended my relationship like 4 years ago, approximately. There was information out there on the internet, but now there's so much. I wish that there were groups like this one and the one that you run and the one I run. I wish there were groups like that. There probably were, but I wasn't aware of it. I would have joined in 2 seconds. I did seek therapy. It's hard. They're so twisting and so manipulative. It's hard to get out of it without therapy or help or a helping hand or a step up or support or whatever you want to call it. It's
Marlene, yeah.
Pack up tonight.
Marlene, you can't be your own therapist.
That's true.
You can't be a self-taught therapist on narcissism. There's no such thing.
You can be educated, and that's a damn good start.
Right, but just knowing tiny part of the picture is understanding the narcissist.
I'm telling you right now, I did go to therapy specifically for that, to a live therapist, and then a famous one who calls herself a shrink for men. She calls herself. You may know her. She's on the web. She's out there in the internet all over the place. A shrink for men. Anyway, she's not just for men.
Oh, I'm glad you needed to hear this.
Yes.
Check out a group.
Check out a group, and you can call either one of us. We'll repeat our information in just a couple of minutes. So, look, I was a therapist for 27 years when this happened. Okay, a seasoned, licensed psychologist with a huge practice, and I had to seek the help of a psychologist and seek the help of another 2 psychologists. Not forever, for a short time. But I'm telling you right now, I am admitting I needed help. I couldn't get myself out of it, but I knew I had to get out of it. And did you also seek help from outside?
At some programs, I sought help more from like the psychological perspective of personality disorders.
Okay.
I researched with a lot.
So we needed assistance also. So don't feel bad. Pack up tonight. I do agree with Kristen. It's not that easy. We know, but you don't have kids together. He's being abusive. Apparently, you're not going to fix him. There's a big world out there. Mm-hmm. We're both on the other side. If I may speak for you, we both found lovely relationships, and it's a joyous thing to be away from the narcissist. You will never fix them. All this is true. And these people, I think, are speaking from experience. Yeah. I don't know each one of them.
They're very supportive.
I know, Christopher. It's sad. Where can you get support, like meetings in your area? Okay, so my meeting is from people all over the place. It's online. It's on Zoom. Mm-hmm. So go to byenarcissist.com. You can contact me again. Let's repeat the information. So I'm Fred Holtz. I'm a licensed psychologist. A lot of experience, and unfortunately, experience with narcissism too. So you can contact me 888-3000, 888-3000. This here group that you're in right now, it's got to be more advice than actual therapy because it's through the internet. I should say that every episode. Mm-hmm. So the group we run is a support group. It's not too expensive. It's affordable. That's my group. It runs Mondays at 7. Please contact 516-888-3000. And your group?
My group is on Tuesday evening, and you can find me on Bye Narcissist, and also my phone number is 516-404-3753. And a very big part of self-care is investing in yourself. And so, like you said, the fee is low, and that's just part of self-care. Think of it like that. Yes.
Therapy is, I know it's a cliche, but it's absolutely an investment in yourself, particularly when you have a specific issue like this. It is. You will never regret even every single session of therapy. You won't regret it. Let me just catch up on this. I was stuck in a relationship because I was so fixated on that same thought. I want him and no one else. But once I got over that thought, I felt liberated and was able to move on and find someone more suitable. I think I know the person who's more suitable. Anyway, see, so you're not alone. That thought, I kind of thought the same thing in the beginnings of in the beginnings of my recognition that it was a narcissistic person. I want him and no one else. But of course you do, because a normal person who falls in love with someone wants that person and nobody else. That's what, I mean, my definition of love is like exclusivity. Real, true, when you fall in love with someone, you don't want anybody else. And it's beautiful. So there's nothing wrong with you, Joy, or you, Marlene. It's correct, I think, and healthy to fall in love with one person and want nobody else. So that's your nature. That's good. It's just, it's the wrong person that you're saying you want them and no one else.
Well, you may have lost yourself too, so you don't know what you want at that point.
That's why self-esteem, self-care, those are all the last three of the boundaries. Self-esteem, self-care, self-worth.
Self-worth, that's a good one.
No one knows about narcissism unless they've been through a relationship with one. Marlene, that's mostly true. Like there's no substitute for someone who's been there, done that. That's why these groups are so important. As soon as you get into the group, I guarantee you're going to say, wow, these people, they get it. Just like right here, they get it. Is it possible to go to a therapist who knows a lot about it but hasn't experienced it? Yeah, it's possible. And they can be really good people, really good therapists. I don't want to say it's impossible, but you're better off with someone who knows, who's been there.
Right, I agree with that.
I'm glad you joined the group. We're here. You see, right here. You've got friends right now. Kristen's been wonderful.
Very sweet.
And there are repeat viewers who are here for you.
Marlene, you're afraid to move into a new relationship. The relationship you need to move into is the one with yourself. And once you partner with yourself and you love yourself and you take care of yourself, you're not going to be afraid anymore. So that's the relationship.
I agree. You may not be ready right this second to move on to another relationship, but it'll come. Christopher says, I was in your shoes because they are great at telling their story. Oh yeah, their stories change. They make up stories. My little narcissist had this whole fantasy story where she was married to a king in another country.
Delusional.
Oh my God. I never knew if it was true or not, to tell you the truth. I think all men are narcissists. Well, it's not true. I mean,
not at all. Some men are fantastic.
See,
that's not true.
There's men in your group, right?
Yes.
And I have men in my, not right this second.
Don't be a man hater.
Yeah. There have been men in my group who have been with a narcissist. It goes both ways. Are there more men who are narcissistic? Maybe, but it's not. They come in all flavors. Oh, also, we had couples who were one person who was gay, and there was a lesbian. Like it doesn't matter what type of relationship, what sexuality, gender ID, LGBTQIAA, whatever it is, they can be a narcissist. I'm so happy you guys understand. Well, we definitely understand.
You're not alone. You have you.
It's tough on you. Well, you just made friends here.
Yeah.
That's one thing in the group. Like there's instant acceptance, because when you mention some of the things you mention, these little narcissists, they're like textbooks. I hate to say it, they're all the same. All your situations are different, but they are like a textbook.
Well, it's a spectrum.
Right?
Yeah.
The things we hear are like the same things, like they do the same things. Anyway, you may be alone physically in your house, but you're not alone anymore here. Do reach out to the local area too, by the way. Yeah, they're like a textbook. Marlene, you'll hear the same story from Christopher and the same story from Joy and the same story from me.
Yeah. Alone and lonely are two different things, Marlene.
Yeah, that's true.
Be careful not to confuse them. You could be very lonely in a big group of people.
Absolutely.
And just because you're alone doesn't mean you're lonely.
I remember the feeling though, because like no one understands. Like you can't explain it to anyone unless they've been there. Like I would talk to my best friend named Mike, and he was supportive because I know him for a million years, but I don't know if he gets it or he got it. Yes, mine would do horrible things and tell me that I did this horrible things. Total projection. Well, you've researched this because you know the term projection. Whatever they're doing, you could tell what they're thinking and doing because they're going to blame you. Like if they ever say like you're cheating on me and I don't trust you with other people, guarantee they're doing it. That's what projection is. If I could write, I'd be a millionaire in movies. Huh? Okay, I think it is time for the sad, prolonged goodbye. So please check out the website byenarcissist.com. We're going to be, for the next 2 Fridays, we'll be at 5:30 on Friday, and then we're switching to Thursdays on, am I getting this right, May 20th? May 20th, we're switching to Thursdays. Same place for us, different day.
Thursday, 5:30.
It's Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Bye Narcissist. Ignore his comments and work on yourself. I like it.
Yes.
Kristen, you're correct.
Absolutely.
I know.
Marlene, you. It's about you.
Yes. And I know Marlene, behind the scenes, all these people who are writing, they've been there, done that. Okay. They know. And they're at various points on leaving. I'm on the other side of leaving, and so is Robin. So we thank you for joining us. Please ask any questions. Share the link with other people, like us, click on us, whatever.
Share.
And check out, now this is going to be on YouTube. And
so
I think
subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Click on subscribe.
Click on stuff. Just click on stuff. And that's not forget what the narcissist says you are. She absolutely called me a narcissist. She did. Absolutely. Yeah. It happens. They're very textbook. Marlene, I appreciate that you trust us enough to share. I know you're in good company. All these people are here to help you, and they've been there. You can see, you can tell. So it's a safe place, and it is sad, but I'm glad you started the journey, and please come back next week.
It's an amazing journey, so it's a good thing.
It's worth it. It's worth it. We've been there, and it's worth it. Anyway, we're going to say goodbye in unison from Beth. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
That's all we do. All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.